Hello, hope you're well. Ben here, and welcome to episode 10 of Benjy's Cafe podcast. Joining me for a cuppa this week is the actor Craig Armstrong. Craig's West End credits include the Olivier award-winning Come From Away at the Phoenix Theatre, Tim Sheeder's production of La Cage aux Folles at Regent's Park Open Air Theatre, and the original cast of Elton John and Lee Hall's musical Billy Elliot.
To be in a room with Stephen Daldry was like, It was just magic. It was just pure magic in that room. They played, or they put a CD in. We've got Elton John, like, singing the song, the Billy Elliot songs. Like, he's playing the piano and he's singing the song. So I've got him singing, Solidarity, Solidarity. And it's like, and all the swearing and all the stuff that goes on in the show. And it's like, it's in Elton's voice. And I'm like, this is mad.
Craig's film work includes the official Take That musical, Greatest Days, written by Tim Firth, and for Warner Brothers, Wonka, starring Hugh Grant. This summer, Craig will be appearing with Imelda Staunton at the London Palladium in the eagerly awaited Hello Dolly. Oh yes. And on July the 29th, Craig will be celebrating 4 years sober. Like his career, a wonderful achievement. Pop the kettle on and enjoy listening. Welcome to Benjy's Cafe, Craig Armstrong. Good morning, Craig. Thank you for joining us at Benjy's Cafe.
Absolute pleasure to be here.
You look very well. How are you feeling today? The sun's out here in Liverpool. Do you have a lovely little morning ritual there?
I mean, the sun's out. It's cold, though. It's pretty cold, but the sun's out. So it's a good start, I guess. Better than what it has been, hasn't it?
Indeed. I really hope you don't think I'm some kind of Instagram Miss Marple, but you are looking so well. And when I was doing some research for the podcast, Craig, I was going back through the months, through the years, and I tried to pinpoint maybe when you stopped drinking alcohol, because I'm fascinated with the difference that makes aesthetically in somebody. And at what point did you think, yes, this is time, I feel like it's time that I need to make a life change here?
Yeah, it was actually during lockdown, and as we went into lockdown, I was supposed to fly to Toronto to do The Boyfriend, which we'd just closed in London. So we were supposed to be performing in the big theatre in Toronto. And obviously that got cancelled straight away. It was quite a weird time because Kelsey Grammer had been cast as the lead in The Boyfriend, and he flew over, I think, on the Monday. We started rehearsals on the Tuesday, and then by the Wednesday we went into lockdown. So the poor guy had flown all the way over. Then we got locked down and he had to go. So anyway, that was the kind of start of lockdown. And then lockdown happened. And during that time, I was also supposed to be doing a Hello Dolly in that summer of lockdown. But obviously that then got cancelled and things kind of spiraled out of control. I had a bit of sobriety before then, but that was the point when it really went out of control for me. During that, I know a lot of people struggle during lockdown, and handling things during that time was tough for everyone. And at that point, I didn't have the tools to be able to deal with what I was going through, what the world was going through, but especially as you know, as I do struggle with addiction, to be able to get through those moments. But now I have those tools to be able to get through the hard times, to make it through the dark places. And it's the best thing I ever did.
Oh, that's so, I can just see it's a joyous feeling, isn't it, Craig?
Yeah.
Can you just explain what tools you initially used? Was it just one that kind of got you started on this recovery? And how did you go about finding that help?
Yeah, so there's a lot of help out there. And I ended up in the 12-step program, which has been a lifesaver, a godsend, all of that rolled into one. And it has been the most rewarding thing I've ever done, and the most incredible and beautiful thing I've ever been involved in. And so, yeah, I went on my first meeting online, and that was the amazing thing about lockdown. You know, a lot of people look back on lockdown and say, "Oh, it was a nightmare," but for me, it's what got me sober.
Yeah.
And I had access because all of the meetings went online. So yeah, I look back on lockdown in a favourable sense of the fact that I might not have ever got sober if it wasn't for that.
Yeah. And that first meeting, Craig, do you think it helped that it was via Zoom? You weren't there in person. And how were you feeling? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people listening, and it's an anxious time when you realize, when you get to that point, gosh, I need some help here. How were you feeling when you clicked yes to that
Yeah.
call?
The heart, you're full of guilt and you're full of shame and you're just scared, you know? But to make that first step is so important. And just to be able to be there and to be open and to listen. That's the biggest thing you can do in the first part of recovery, is to just shut up and listen for the similarities, not the differences, because
Yeah.
that's a big one.
And is it amazing when you get that connection with somebody to think, oh my God, I can relate to that, and that must slowly buoy your confidence and complete desire to keep ploughing on, because it's tough. It must be lovely to be in that state where it's okay, I know I've got an issue here, but I'm being brave enough to get some help.
Yeah, and only another addict alcoholic can understand what another addict alcoholic has been through. No matter how much I can explain it to my friends, to my family, they will never understand how it felt to be in the madness and to be in the dark days where all I could think about was that.
Yeah.
And nothing, and I mean nothing, not even my beautiful boy could stop me from being that. The only way I could stop is by doing this amazing program and by, getting a sponsor, going through the 12 steps and becoming free again and becoming the man that I am now. So what that means is I now sponsor other people. So I get to be able to lift that person up off the floor.
Yeah.
Who was like me, who didn't have a clue what they were doing, and they were broken completely. And now I get to see the light turn back on in their eyes, and it is the most rewarding thing I've ever done. Forget being on stage, forget being on the West End stage, which is incredible. This has to be the most amazing thing I've ever done.
It must be so lovely to know that going through so much yourself, you're now helping other people, Craig. That's such a beautiful quality.
Yeah, it does. And helping other people helps me, and that's what's amazing about it.
And the feeling of starting to feel better, to get that energy back, that glow, your zest for life. When you think, just before I went sober, mine was a funny one, because I knew I was watching people from afar, Craig, like Richard Taylor Wood, he's in episode 2 of Benjy's Cafe. It's a lovely, lovely listen. Great
it's
guy.
It's a great episode. And I took Rich to his first meeting.
Did you? Haven't you? Yeah. I didn't know that.
Another amazing moment for me. I
remember watching his journey and thinking, gosh, he's starting to achieve so much. He's looking well. He's in good shape here, mentally and physically. He's getting better. And probably, Craig, for about 2-3 years, I was thinking, I knew I needed to do that. You know what our business is, years of touring. I love my sport. It's sport with a beer. It's a beer after a show, usually chasing 4 pints before last orders after curtain down. But I had my hair transplant a year ago, just over a year ago.
And so great.
For that, the doc. Oh, thank you. Well, I'm chuffed with it. It's given me a lovely little boost. But because of this, Craig, the doctor said, "Look, you've got to stop alcohol." And I was like, "What?" I was like,
"Oh, really?"
No. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Just for 4 weeks, 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after the transplant, because it thins the blood. And I thought, there's no way I can do that. But that was the catalyst that I needed, Craig, because I knew deep down that I'd been drinking too much, and through Richard and through people like yourself, just knowing that there's people my age going through, from the outset, it's like, oh, we're in showbiz, it's a great life, we're happy. But the reality was I was struggling for a long time, Craig. Can you remember those feelings of anxiety on stage, sweating on stage, just feeling shit?
It was a daily grind for me for a long time. Probably, I mean, if I'm honest, probably 20 years of my career. Probably, it's, if I look back on it, there's not many moments when I wasn't having that feeling. And that's crazy, really. I never And now I look back, I never really was able to enjoy those amazing moments that I had.
Yeah.
And that's quite sad, but that is the truth.
Yeah. Because your career has flown for a long, long time, Craig. And how funny that now do you find on stage you're completely relishing this beautiful opportunity, making people happy, and you can experience for what it is, which is
Honestly,
a wonderful opportunity, isn't it?
Since I've come into recovery and gone back to, like, not that I had left performing, but like obviously since I got sober and after lockdown, my very first job after lockdown was carousel at Regent's Park. And I have to say, since that moment, I've just had the most amazing experience. It feels like I left the business and I've come back and I have this new vigor and life and love for what I do, because I always loved what I did, but I don't think I ever appreciated it, because now I go into a room and I'm so open, and the main thing that recovery has given me and sobriety has given me is being present in the moment. And I don't think I ever was that before. And now I can be present. I can be intellectual in a way that I never was before.
Yeah.
And because my brain's clear, I don't have the fog anymore.
Oh,
I can now, I was talking to you earlier, I've got an audition this afternoon, and they sent me 2 scenes and 2 songs. Now, if that had happened a few years ago, I'd be walking into that audition today without a Scooby, what's going on.
Yeah.
I'd be standing there shaking, probably nervous because I knew I'd been drinking the night before.
Yeah.
And now I can go to that audition. I've learned it. I've completely off book. That never used to happen. And similarly, with even in rehearsals now, I'll tell you a story. So my first job back, like I said, was carousel, and during that moment, on the opening night, I was about to celebrate 1 year sober, which was an amazing achievement anyway, that I'd got to a year after everything that had happened. And the day before we opened, because don't forget, this is just coming out of COVID, so we're testing every day. Like, you literally, it was a nightmare, because that fear of, like, you go in and you test every morning before rehearsals, and you'd have to wait there, and we'd all be separated, and we'd all be sitting in this massive room, like, just waiting to see if we got the go ahead to go into rehearsals, and for quite a long time, nobody was getting, and then all of a sudden it started dropping 1, 2, 3, and we were like, oh God, and the fear starts coming up. And then the day before we opened, the guy who played Jigger, unfortunately, got tested positive for COVID. And the day, at that point, his cover, because at Regent Park you have a first cover and that's it, his cover had already tested positive. So we had no cover. It's the day before we opened. No. I was already covering, but I was covering Mr. Snow, not Jigger. But I went up to Tim Sheeder and I said, look, Tim, do you want me to learn it? Do you want me to have a go? To see if I can? And he went, do you think you could? And I went, and without even thinking, I went, yes.
Wow.
And I don't know what it was, whether it was just pure blind luck or what, but I literally spent the next 24 hours in rehearsals, learning the script, learning the blocking and everything, and I went on for opening night. So in less than 24 hours, I was opening a show, playing that part.
Wow.
On my 1 year sobriety.
Oh,
so it was the most amazing experience. It was incredible. And I attribute that there's no way.
Yeah.
If a year before that, if somebody had said to me, can you learn this? I'd have been absolutely no chance. But because my brain, my mind, everything was clear, I was focused, I was present, I was able to do that.
Well, I would have been thinking, in the old Ben, if I do test for COVID, then that's right, because I can go back and have a pint.
Well,
which is awful.
Yeah.
But Craig, that is wonderful that it just freed you up, and you've got a fresh canvas of life, isn't it? And going into auditions, as you mentioned, taking on that role within 24 hours is unbelievable. But like you say, Craig, something that it just would have been a no-go before choosing sobriety. And that must be something you're so proud of. And all these experiences now that you're embracing and enjoying and success are because of that decision.
Yes, yeah, it is. And I am so grateful for my sobriety. Every day I wake up and just can't believe that what it's given me in my personal life, in my professional life. It's the best thing I ever did.
That's so great. And do you find I'm weirdly addictive to how I used to look? And isn't it nuts just how it's weirdly addictive to be addicted to how your body can change? Have you found that with your skin?
I think I've lost like probably 3.5, 4 stone since coming into sobriety.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I run every day. And listen, it's probably a slight addiction, but there's worse things to be addicted to than running every day.
Yeah, if it's putting on Lycra once a day and running 5K, hey, I would take that, Craig.
But it keeps me, that's part of, I feel it I see it in a meditation way, my running as well helps me clear my mind and gets me ready for the day. I tend to do it early morning. Part of a kind of like ritual, which I also meditate as well every day. I look back and I go, who is this person who meditates and does all these things? It's So if I just try and keep it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Right at the start, it was like 1 minute at a time. 1 minute at a time, then 1 hour at a time, and then slowly building it up. But now, there's no point looking past one day, really.
If I think too far ahead, life can become a little bit anxious for me again. It's a struggle. I bloody love a list, so I'll have my list for the day, and that's a little reward knowing that I've tick, 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 and then I can relax. And what I love now is just an evening with my tea and digestives, and it's lovely knowing I've got a quiet evening and just getting into bed knowing it's a beautiful day tomorrow as well.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like drinking in between shows and stuff. I mean, it's crazy. I can't think of anything worse. I'm grateful because if I didn't have those moments before, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. I wouldn't be the man that I am today. I wouldn't be the dad that I am today, the son, the friend, the colleague. I wouldn't have all those things if I hadn't had the bad times. So I have to look back on that in a way that I'm grateful for. And yes, there was a lot of carnage that I caused, and there's a lot of people that I hurt. And because of that, I've had to go out and make my amends. And some of those amends are ongoing amends that I'll probably continue to make for the rest of my life. And that's fine. That I need to do that. That.
Life is tricky. She's a tricky old girl, isn't she, life? My goodness. But being on a plateau where you can deal with things, it doesn't half make it easier, and you can experience those highs beautifully, and just career highs, Craig. Like I'd love to. I saw you in Billy Elliot years ago. I think Tom Holland was playing Billy. What a show! That must have been a huge buzz to be part of that that process from scratch. Was it?
Yeah.
Did you know in that rehearsal period? My goodness, this is a good one. This is good.
Well, I knew straight away because I did the original workshop back in we opened in the West End in 2005, but I did the original workshop in 2003, I think it was, at the Old Vic. We did like a 2-week workshop or something like that, I think, maybe. And even then, obviously, we'd all seen the film by this point, hadn't we? But to be in a room with Stephen Daldry was like, it was just magic. It was just pure magic in that room. And that just continued. And then, bringing, I'll never forget, like one of the weirdest moments, I think, was when we first started that workshop. And obviously Lee Hall's there, who's I love Lee, obviously. Getting to work with him and Stephen was an absolute dream come true. But I just remember on that very first day of the workshop, and we'd not heard any music by this point. We'd obviously seen the script or a version of the script, and we sat down and they played. And I think I'm trying to think, it was 2002, so it must have been on computer anyway. They played, or they put a CD in. It was a CD. It was a CD. I remember it was a CD. They put the CD in.
Man, what are they? What's the CD?
Well, exactly. And the next minute, we've got Elton John, like singing the song, the Billy Elliot songs, like along to his piano. Like he's playing the piano and he's singing the song. So I've got him singing solidarity, solidarity. And it's like, and all the swearing and all the stuff like goes on in the show, and it's like it's in Elton's voice, and I'm like, this is mad. This is so mad. So yeah, that was a really strange, but yeah, it was an incredible piece to be part of. There's not many shows around that you're absolutely perfect for. You know, you're always trying to be somebody that you're not in theatre, aren't we? We're always trying to be this person or that person, or not in your accent or not in your age range or whatever. But this was something that spoke to me, like internally, externally. My granddad was a miner.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
I grew up in the area around the pits, and I knew the stories. I knew all these people in this show. You know, I was a young dancer growing up in the 80s. I knew that story. So it was to be able to tell that story night after night was so special. But alongside that, to see those kids perform on a nightly basis was just, it was something else, you know, and to be able to see them go on to do the amazing things, and like you said, Tom Holland, I mean, Tom is one of the most amazing actors that has grown into one of the most amazing actors that we have in Britain, really, I feel, you know, and he's just about to play Romeo and Juliet, which I can't wait to go and see. He's going to be absolutely incredible.
And I think has he chosen an alcohol-free life as well?
Yeah,
Am I right?
He has, yeah. Which is just amazing for somebody so young to see that. I guess as well, you know, you see him and he surrounds himself with people like Robert Downey Jr., who has been sober for a very, very long time. That stuff rubs off on people, you know, the times that, you know, when you're in the company of somebody who's sober. I'm sure you found it yourself. People ask you questions. People say, "How did you do it?"
And it's helping
Billy Elliot
people.
was incredible. It was special. Like the crazy amount of celebrities that came to see the show was mad. You know, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie came one day. I mean, that was just like, what? Yeah, it was a special show. I think one of the reviews said he wouldn't get away with this now, I don't think. One of the reviews said it's the ugliest ensemble in the West End. Because that, you know, we were cast as these blokes, you know, these ordinary looking blokes, because that was part of that. It was so believable that these, you know, we looked like men, we looked like real burly blokes, we looked like we could go down the mine. Do you know what I mean? And
you mentioned being a young lad dancing in the Northeast, Craig. How difficult was that? Were there similarities to Billy Elliot in that? What did your family think? Were they encouraging?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say it was a little bit different for me because my mum's a dance teacher. My mum was the one who taught me. So I have my own Mrs. Wilkinson. Yeah, who's incredible. She's not long retired, but she had her school for 50 years.
Wow, amazing.
And she was amazing to, you know, to see. Sometimes there was times when I didn't want to do it, obviously, because I was going into school, and around that time it wasn't boys weren't seen to be dancing and singing and doing all that kind of stuff. So there was rough times. You know, there was bullying at school, there was all that kind of stuff, and I did stop for quite a few years. And it wasn't
until... Did you?
Yeah.
Because of the bullying, because of the pressure.
Because of the bullying, I just couldn't. Yeah, it was because of that, and I was the only boy that was doing anything like that around my area. You know, coming from a working class background, and it was tough. But I also knew deep down inside that that's what I wanted to do. And then there was a point when I just went, you know what, I want to do this, you know. And I was a little bit older, so I kind of felt like I don't care what they say, you know, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And then
I admire that bravery, Craig. It's knowing, isn't it? And we're all of a certain ilk in theatre, and just knowing when you're not comfortable in an environment that other people might want you to stay in. And I admire you being so bold in thinking, right, I'm going to do what I want to do here that sits well with me.
Yeah. I just had that. I think I've always had that love for this, and I've always wanted to do it from being a kid and watching those amazing musicals, watching Gene Kelly, Donald O'Connor. I used to love all those old musicals, and that just put a fire in my belly, and it never really went away.
Yeah,
and I'm so pleased that I did follow it in the end, and they've been there for a lot of my first nights, and that's been really special. And they've seen shows that I've been in, on more than one occasion, obviously, because they're just super proud, and to be able to share this journey with them is brilliant.
And like you say now, you're probably even more present, aren't you, to share your success with them, which is, I think it's wonderful.
Well, yeah, I think before I never used to want them as first nights because I just wanted to get hammered. Like, I love them to be there because I can be present with them and I can enjoy the night.
You mentioned Carousel, but you've just finished in La Cage aux Folles there. What a great challenge. That must have been such fun. And my goodness, what a beautiful environment to work in.
Regent's Park is one of the most magical and special places I've ever worked. And here's a testament. If I could work at Regent's Park for the rest of my career, I would, because it's just the most amazing energy and people that work there, both backstage, on stage, front of house, in the offices, the producers, everybody is just incredible. And it just makes for the most amazing experience and the most amazing show. And doing the Cage is probably up there with my highlights of my career. I had the most amazing time doing that show. Dragging up every night. This was just one of the best things I've ever done.
Well, I've just played my first Dame. Gave my first Widow Twanky, and it is such fun, isn't it? It's like it's a challenge, and just to become somebody so different, which we do all the time in acting, but that to have that challenge,
to be in a room which was totally open and unapologetic, and the freedom that everyone was given to be themselves in that room was so special to be part of. It just fills me. It makes me smile to think about it.
I can see.
It filled my heart so much, and I would do that show again in a heartbeat.
And to have the stamina to do it, it must have been so much easier, knowing that you're a sober guy.
I wouldn't have, like I said before, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah.
That show, especially, if I hadn't been sober. Because fitness-wise, I just wouldn't have been capable of doing it. It was, I was dancing alongside 25 and 25-year-olds up plus, and they're all fit as anything.
Yeah.
And, I'll be 48 next month, and I never would have dreamed of me being on stage jumping into splits in heels at my age, or doing a tap routine in heels at my age, but there I am.
Isn't that beautiful though? That's the joy of the job, isn't it? Just these different scenarios one finds them, ourselves in. I just want to say as well, you mentioned the beauty of being in a really open environment, an open rehearsal room, being able to absorb from other people's characters and personalities. I just remember seeing you, I think it was a Mamma Mia audition at the Novello years ago, Craig, and you were so blooming friendly. I don't know if you remember meeting me. I was the tall Bruce Forsyth lookalike, but that must go a long way when you're in the room of creating bonds within a company. You're such an affable guy. Do you realise that? I don't know you, but I thought I would bloody love to work with you.
I think that over the years, I love being in a company and being part of that. What feels like a family, what feels that community. And you know what? I think going back to Billy Elliot, that's what was amazing about Billy Elliot was the community on stage, but also the community off stage. And that, alongside La Cage, was like on another level. And I do love being part of a company, but this was a family. This was being part of this our group of Cargels, I hold them so dear, and my sisters, they are my sisters forever. They always will be, and I just love them so much. And I feel like being part of that as a family is so special. But yeah, I do try my best to be a good company member, even more so now than I ever was before. I think before I was very much a cheeky chappy. I just went, come on, let's go. We'll go to the pub. Are we going to get pissed?
Oh,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Now I'm more me. I'm more who I am, but I can still be. I'm more open and more loving and more caring, but I'm still that fun person. But it's taken me a while to get there.
Yeah.
Coming into recovery, I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know who I was without those things, without the drink and the other. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know who I was, so that it does take time. That's a scary point.
It is, isn't it? I've found that, Craig, that likewise was, oh, Ben's the Joker and let's go and have a beer after rehearsals, after a show. And there is a period where you think, gosh, what's my role here, especially within a company. And it's what is lovely is sobriety has given me the confidence to be my complete self, to be fun, to be caring, to be kind, but not being afraid to think what I think, knowing it's coming from a good place and from a place that isn't clouded by alcohol. It's a lovely feeling.
Yeah, it's exactly that, isn't it? It's having that fog lifted and being able to be, and I keep saying it, and it's going to be boring because you're going to hear it so many times, but to be present in the moment is the best thing. Because like you said, in a rehearsal room, I think before I was never present, so I could never really, like you just said, give your opinion on something or make a choice. That now I feel like I can make a choice. It might not be the right choice, like creatively, but I'm open enough to be able to make that choice. Where before, I don't think I would have. I was either scared or just not switched on enough to be able to make that choice.
It's being switched on, isn't it? That's the thing, being alert and switched on. It's. I wish I'd felt that years ago, I tell you.
Yeah, same. That's same. But you know what? I can only say that it's amazing to be able to take that as going forward, and I can look back on all those other times with fond memories and just go, yeah, it is what it is. How do I put it? I feel like in a rehearsal room now, not that I want a lead, not taking the lead, but I just want to kind of show who I am in a rehearsal room, and maybe that people will look up to me, and especially like young ones that when I was younger that I looked up to. I want to give them a bit of a different role model, because maybe I didn't look up to the best people when I was younger. Maybe I was looking at those people that were going out and getting hammered and thinking, "Oh, yeah."
But you don't know at that age, do you? You want to be part of that.
Yeah, exactly. And look, there's lots of people that can go out and do that, and I'm happy for them.
Yeah,
well done. I'm just not one of those people that can do that, unfortunately. And if you can do that, good. I'm proud. I'm happy for you. But I'm not one of those people, and that's fine. And I've made my peace with that, and I'm happy where I am.
Oh, you seem so
happy,
happy,
I still
Craig.
Enjoy going out. I still go and enjoy it, going out and socialising and being part of those. I don't shy away from those social situations.
That's important, isn't it?
Yeah. Of course, at first there was that, oh God, do I go down to the pub and do I be around it? And of course, there is certain people that can't be around it.
Yeah.
But I found over time that I can be around other people enjoying themselves, other people having a drink. I can be in those situations, because I also know that I can take myself away when I've heard the same story 3 times.
Yeah.
I know it's time to leave. I love being part of a company and being part of those social gatherings.
Yeah.
And seeing it from the other side.
And isn't it lovely when you've had a lovely night, a great experience with lovely people, and you're home, you're safe, you know you're going to wake up feeling good and bright feeling.
No, that fear, the morning fear was, it's so debilitating, isn't it?
It's draining, horrible. Isn't it? It's exhausting.
It is exhausting. I never want to have that again.
What a year you've got ahead, Craig. My goodness, you are one busy bee. Hello Dolly is happening. Imelda Staunton at the Palladium. You must be buzzing for that. Finally, it's been a while, right?
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, we were supposed to do it the summer of lockdown. It was supposed to be open at the Adelphi. And obviously, lockdown happened. And then it got cancelled, or as they said, postponed.
Yeah.
And then Imelda then went on to start filming The Crown.
Gosh,
so that was 3 years, or however long it's been. 4 years now, isn't it? 4 years. So she did obviously 3 years of The Crown. And now she's finally finished that, and we're getting to do it. Yes. So, yeah, I think one of the it's a silly thing, but one of the best things about it is that my son's a massive Harry Potter fan. So he's very excited to get to see Imelda and meet Imelda.
And your son must be so proud. Like, what a cool dad you are.
Yeah, well, he must be so massively
proud.
into theatre himself. He desperately wants to, unfortunately, do this himself. He got to the final for Matilda last year.
Oh, wow.
In town.
Amazing.
He's got himself an agent. He does auditions. It's great to see, and he loves it. And to be able to share that journey with him, I couldn't want for more, really. It's amazing.
That must be like one of the best feelings, Craig.
I can't tell you that one of the best things is coming out stage door and getting that first hug off my son after he's seen me on stage is just, it makes my heart burst. I'm sure that maybe that's going to change at some point. I'm going to become the uncool dad that goes to say is on stage or whatever, but maybe not. But at the minute, I take that with so much pride that he feels like that. Yeah, it's the best. It's the best. I can't explain it.
I can tell you're shining. I love it.
Yeah.
You've got a busy day ahead. I love to ask everybody I chat to here, what's on the dinner menu? Do you like to cook? Do you enjoy your food?
I love to cook. Yeah, I do like to cook. My dinner menu, I sometimes get in a bit of a rut where I just go, right, I'm having the same thing over and over again. But I make a great roast dinner.
Oh,
that's my staple, and I'll have a roast dinner any day. It doesn't have to be a Sunday. I'll have a roast dinner on a Wednesday or a Tuesday. It doesn't matter.
Craig, it's been so lovely to chat. I admire your positivity. You're helping so many people, and you've helped me this morning have a wonderful start to the day. Thank you for popping into Benjy's Cafe for a chat. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and congratulations on your 1 year sober. Just keep going with it, because it will just only get better and better. And thank you.
Thanks for joining me in Benjy's Cafe. Billy Elliot, what a show. And what a great chap Craig is. Make sure you hit follow so every episode gets sent straight to your phone, no booking required, available wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget, a new episode every Tuesday. In episode 11, I'll be joined in Benjy's Cafe by the actor Vivian Parry. It's a wonderful chat. I'll get the kettle on. Have a great day.